the bottom of their feet, my experience is that a lot of times it's the muscles on the bottom of the feet are weak, the intrinsic muscles particularly. Okay? In my experience, that's the case. Now, the foot has a bunch of cool things that it does. Your foot needs to be, when your foot hits the ground, a mobile adapter. It just has to enter into whatever's there and be able to accept that load. When your foot's behind you, it needs to be a rigid lever in order to propel forward effectively. What happens a lot of times is that people don't lock up their midfoot appropriately, and so they propel off of an unstable surface and it tweaks out the bottom of their feet. Okay? And so clinically there are a few things that I want to talk about and just show you. In my opinion, one should have the ability to move every joint in their body independently from other joints. Okay? But what happens is people become interdependent on the way that they move. And so if you can't get it from one place, you're going to get it from the other. If I can't move from my shoulder and I got to reach back, where am I going to get it from? The rest of my body. So talking about the feet, in my experience, and this is just a clinical atomism here, one should have the ability to move their feet independently from each other. So if you all look at my toes right now, I can pick up 1 and 2 through 5 stay on the ground. I can pick up 2 through 5 and 1 stays on the ground. I can pick up all my toes and put just 1 down. I can pick up all my toes and put just 2 through 5 down. And one should have that ability. Go ahead and try, who's struggling with it. A little frustrating, huh? If you can't. If you can't do it, you didn't even know you didn't know until right now. And if you didn't know you didn't know, and I ultimately want you to know you don't know, first you have to know you don't know. You're here now. You're never going to make any of those changes yet, but we need to bring awareness to this area if you don't have the ability. So for some people, it's just picking 1 up and keeping 2 through 5 down without 2 through 5 gripping really hard. For some people, it's keeping 1 down and picking up 2 through 5. For some, it's picking up all of them and putting just 1 down. For some, it's picking them all up and putting just 2 through 5 down. You should be able to do them all independently. Typically, you're going to be able to do one of those best. Now, my left foot hurts a little bit. On my right foot, typically, if I have foot pain, it's on the bottom of my left. I can pick up on my right foot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and put down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can pick up 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and put down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on my left foot. I can't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's what I practice. So those that have bottom of the foot pain, this is where I start. You should have that ability to wiggle your toes independently. If you don't, we need to make somatosensory cortex space. Perhaps we can, and there's strategies that will go along. So this is where I typically start, is wiggling your toes for people that have bottom of the foot pain. If you have bottom of the foot pain, in my opinion, you should have the ability to independently wiggle your toes. If you can't, that typically is homework assignment number 1 for me. If you have bottom of the foot pain, you probably have lack of representation in your somatosensory cortex. That's what science proves, and if that's the case, isometrics are a great way to build somatosensory cortex representation that's non-inflammatory. And so what I might choose to do is do what's called a short foot exercise. Has anyone heard of YANDA? DNS, Dynamic Neuromuscular Stabilization. The Prague School, they're really popularized this thought process. Okay, so homework assignment number 1, if you have bottom of the foot pain, wiggle your toes. Homework assignment number 2, start to do what's called a short foot exercise in order to build an arch. So I'll show you what it is. Basically, if my foot is flat right here, I'd start sitting. I'll read you the directions in a minute. I'm going to pull my met head towards my calcaneus as I do this. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is just pull the bottom of my met head towards my calcaneus, and I'm creating an arch. I'm going to hold that for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I might hold this upwards of a minute for chronic people. And then I'm going to relax. And I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to relax. Notice my toes as I do this. I'll do it the way I don't want you to do it. I don't want your toes to grip really hard. My toes 2 through 5 are dead as I do this. If you try to create an arch and your toes flex, your distal or phalangeal joints extend a little, try to keep the arch lifted and relax your toes. You should have that ability to keep this arch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then relax. This is part 2 in my progression for people that have low bottom of the foot pain. I'm going to start to create an arch. Maybe I put a piece of tape down the bottom of my foot from here to here. Remember, you put a piece of tape on your skin, it creates more awareness. So if I want to bring more awareness to the bottom of your foot, maybe I do that. Maybe I do a decompression strip to rack to kind of give you more of an arch, even though it's not supporting it through load, because there's only 1.5 or 1.75 newtons per gram in the tape. But it's still bringing awareness into my brain about creating that arch. Is everyone with me as I say this? Nod your head.
Yeah.
Maybe if I'm trying to wiggle my toes independently and I can't, maybe we create these. And maybe I put each strip on my toes, which again brings more awareness on trying to be able to wiggle their toes independently. Is that clear for everyone? So one of the things that I've been trying to do motor control-wise is wiggle one eyebrow versus the other. My grandfather has an amazing ability to do it, and I haven't been able to. So when I'm bored, sometimes what I'll do is I'll take this piece of tape and I'll put it right here. And then what I'm going to do is frown to lengthen the skin out. And then I'm going to be, so now I'll kind of, I think that's funny, guys, do you know? All right, that's good. Questions for me on the short bottom of the foot. Number 1 is wiggle toes. Number 2 is short foot. Number 3, if I'm trying to strengthen the intrinsic muscles in the foot, and if you have bottom of the foot pain, you have weak intrinsic muscles, is with the bend. So what I'll do, and after I show you this, I'll show you a valid test to test isometrics, or intrinsic strength. I'm going to put the band on just my big toe. And now I'm going to work on toe flexion, trying to keep my other toes on the ground. I don't want them all to come up. Okay, then I'm going to go toes 2 through 5. Same thing, I'm going to work on toe flexion to start to isolated strengthen the intrinsic muscles in my foot. 2 sets of 10, build to 2 sets of 20. Okay, so these are like my first 3 steps in terms of, do you have hurdy feet? Does anybody have a business card? Come on up, bring your business card, hurry. It's on film.
Oh, it's on film? I don't have it on me.
Who's got a business card on them? Come on up. Who has bottom of the foot pain? Anyone? You do? Great, have a seat. So this is called the paper test. There's studies on this, okay? So if I put this underneath his toes, underneath his met head, he should be able to keep the business card underneath his toes. I should not be able to pull it out. If I can, that's demonstrating weak intrinsic strength. So hold this here. Good, so he's able to hold that there. Let's do that again. Yeah, so keep your heel on the ground. Okay, so fairly strong, we could say. Let's see the other side. I love that you had to do both sides to do that though, okay? Go ahead and hold that there. So a little bit weaker underneath this one here. He's not able to hold it under. This would be indicative of weak intrinsic muscles in the bottom of his right foot. I could write positive paper card tests for intrinsic muscles in the foot, and that would be okay on your nose. Then I would go through this sequence here.
That's number 4 that you just done?
This is before I do any of it.
Before.
Mm.
Okay.
This is the test to see if you have weak intrinsic muscles.
Okay.
For me, grabbing marbles, crunching, it's fine, but that's not, it's not enough for me. So this is where I would start. There's a million progressions, but this is where I would start. Okay, questions on that?